Thank you for joining me for yet another unboxing video, and today we have some more RPG goodness. We're talking Twilight 2000, brought to you by Free League, role-playing and the World War III that never was. I picked up the original long time ago in the mid-80s. There was the original Twilight 2000 came out. Picked it up, my brother and I, my friend Casper, we used to play it all the time, had a blast playing it. Rules were tricky. Actually, it was very complex, a lot of math, a lot of things that were made the game unpopular to some people because you did really have to make the investment in learning the system. It was not an easy system to learn. It wasn't something like a Dungeons and Dragons. It was much more real and militaristic, and it was just a little overwhelming. And it was at the time when you're starting to go off to college, so you put your games away and you start doing different things. But going back about a year ago, I saw this. I kind of pushed it off to pick it up, but now here I am. I finally picked up a copy of Twilight 2000 to reminisce back to the days of my youth. But at the same time, I've heard a lot of great things about this particular version of Twilight 2000. So I'm proud to bring it to you today as an unboxing video. So here we go again. Twilight 2000, role-playing in the World War III that never was. Brought to you by the great company of Free League, who you also know that we've done unboxings for example, Aliens, the role-playing game, and Dragonbane as well. So this is another introduction box set. So again, we have Calais. We're still only in Calais. We need to get out of here fast. The artillery barrage is getting closer. The Soviets will be here soon. Sarge says we move out after dark. I'm not sure we'll last that long. A classic role-playing game returns. This new retro-apocalyptic edition of Twilight 2000 goes back to the roots of the franchise with open-world role-playing in the devastation of World War III. Just like the original 1984 edition, this new game is set in a year 2000 devastated by war, now in an alternate timeline where the Soviet Union never collapsed. Twilight 2000 is a role-playing game about survival in mankind's most desperate hour. Yet in this bleak world, there is still hope. In the midst of utter destruction, you can start to build something new. Rally people to your ranks, stake a claim and protect it, and maybe, if you live long enough, start turning the tide. This box set includes a lot of materials, which we're going to show you here. Again, I'm not going to read through everything because there's a tremendous amount of information here about the game and the system. But again, here we go. Again, this is brought to you by Free League. This was released in 2021. For more information, go to freeleaguepublishing.com. Again, this game is for 2 to 6 players, ages 16 plus. Takes about 120 minutes. Don't believe that. The 2 hours it takes is probably the amount of time it's going to take just to go through the resources that are here. So again, it's a little bit of a complex game. I'm not going to, again, this is just an unboxing. I'm not going to go through the rules or explanation of how to play. That you can go to Free League. They have plenty of resources there for that. So again, we're going to crack this bad boy open and see what kind of goodness we have inside the box. And right off the bat, we have a bunch of materials here. So I'm going to pull these over. Of course, the silica gel, as we always like to say, do not eat that. We have your game catalog, which has all the different, again, when I talk about Free League, they have so many great products, including Alien, The One Ring, Tales from the Loop, Forbidden Lands, of course, Twilight 2000, which we're talking about right now, Zimbarium, Morkborg, Vassin, and of course, Mutant, Corollas, and of course, we have the Walking Dead role-playing game, which we've done unboxing for. Aliens, the role-playing game, which we've done unboxing for. And of course, also, the last one I'm thinking, is Blade Runner, which we've done several unboxings for as well. So that's just some of the things. We have a bunch of information in the box, which is, again, like I said, it's a heavy box. It's chock full of lots and lots of stuff that's included in here. So again, you've got 2 books in here that are tremendous in size. Again, this is a lot of information to digest. So we're going to start off with the player's manual, and we also have a referee's manual. So the player's manual, this is the guide to the system. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Again, this was a Kickstarter, so all these people are backers here. You got your table of contents right here. Again, lots and lots of information. So in this book, you have everything from you're on your own now, player character skills and specialties, combat damage, weapons, vehicles, and gear, and traveling. Again, the artwork is absolutely stellar throughout the entire book. Again, gives you background information about the history of Twilight 2000 and a bunch of information about how to roll the dice, starting the game, tools of game, character sheets, dice, cards, maps, and counters, and explains what a role-playing game is. Moving on to player characters. You get to choose different characters you'd like to make. You get to choose the nationality, military rank, their attributes, what branch of the military they're in, specialties, hit and stress capacity, skills, unit morale, code, big dreams, all that stuff like that. Encumbrance, how to use vehicles. Again, character creation, that's what a character, again, what your character sheet would look like right there. And we're going to show you one of those in a little bit. So again, you can be a civilian, you can be a grunt, you can be a gunner, you can be a kid, a medic, a mechanic, you can be an operator, an officer, the spook, and gives you all information about military service in childhood. Again, you could be a soldier from the Soviet Union, which is Russia. You can be Swedish, you can be Polish, you can be part of the local militia. You can be a civilian who's surviving, the police. You can be intelligence, blue collar, crime, white collar, education, at war. Developing characters, learning experience. Again, it's based on experience. Your skill levels go up based on the experience points that you get. So levels A, B, C, D, you gain 5, 10, 15, and 20 experience points to move up. Morale goes into all different things of that nature. Seeking new dreams, redefining moral codes, and of course, how your characters are going to inhabit this new world. Skills and specialties. Again, rolling the dice, successes, pushing your roll. You have example opposed roles, NPCs, and non-player characters that you're going to run into, different skills that your character can take on. Then we move into combat and damage, how to actually do. You have your battle mats, your rounds, your slow and fast actions, your terrain, and all stuff like that to go into. Cover, barriers, foot movement, visibility, line of sight, ambush, social conflict. So this role-playing game, to me, has always been more like a tabletop miniatures game. There's a lot of rules about movement, about line of fire, ambushes, all different things that make this more like a combat simulator versus it being a role-playing game. Of course, it is a role-playing game, but I know that when I've played games in the past with this, so for role-playing games, it's a lot of times it's in your mind about your characters, and you don't necessarily need to use figures. All you need is pad, paper, some graphing paper, and you'll do fine. This game, sometimes I have to set up miniatures and set up a battlefield. This way we can actually show you how the actual events are taking place. So again, this is more, to me, is definitely for someone who's definitely more interested in playing a game that has a lot of mechanics. It's math heavy. It's also another thing, but it's a little more streamlined in this version, but the previous versions have been very math heavy, where you have to do a lot of calculations. But in this game here, they've streamlined it to some degree. Again, to me, it's more like a tabletop miniatures game combined with role-playing elements. So that's kind of the way that I see it. And anyone watched any of the other videos also, they'll explain to you that, again, sometimes it's just easier to lay it out that way because a lot of this you can't see, like when you're having a battle between different soldiers, the line of sight, anything, you really need to set up a table full of, barriers and cars and different things that you're going to need so you can actually have the combat sequence. So it just makes it easier for you. Again, negotiating hostages, close combat, gives you all the rules regarding ranged combat, different firing modifiers. Again, lots and lots of information. Suppression fire, overwatch, ammunition, landmines, anti-tank mines, heavy weapons, and goes through all this stuff through here as you're rolling through the rule book, as you see here. Lots and lots of charts about, okay, now when you're in combat and you get hit, you roll on a D10. It's a D10 system. So as you see here, it tells you whether you get hit in the head, torso, legs, arms, and the type of mental injuries that you guys can take on. And you're rolling a D10. Where it pops up, it tells you where you got. So let's say you got shot in the torso, and it cuts through your body armor. You roll a D10. If you get 8 torn intestines, is it lethal? Yes. Time limit stretch. Stamina -1. Disease virulence -3 incubation, 1 shift. Heal time, you roll 2d6. That'll tell you how many days it's going to take for your guy to heal from that type of wound. So wounds are taken very seriously in this game, and again, it breaks it down for each of those right here. Continue to move forward. We're going to be talking about all different kinds here of different conditions, and fire and hypothermia, drowning, chemical warfare, radiation, disease, medical aid. All that kind of stuff is also talked about in this section of section 4. Continuing to roll forward, more and more information here. Then we got a huge section which talks about weapons, vehicles, and gear, because in this it's very, very specific. Again, you're talking about from basic things, from bottles to knives to bats to bayonets and axes to normal things, then to all type of handguns that you can have. Lots and lots of different types of equipment and military equipment that is included here. They have a charts for all the stuff here. Then of course you have U.S. equipment, then you have Soviet or Russian equipment as well. Then you have Swedish as well. So if you want to play guys from Sweden, all the different types of ammunition and weapons, hand grenades, different types of artillery, mortars, again, heavy weapons, ammunition, mines, vehicles, different kinds of vehicles, from motorcycles to tanks, to all kinds of stuff that you would need to know how to play this game. Military vehicles, again, sometimes in one of these role-playing games, like I was saying, I'll pull out different types of Jeeps like this that we can use for the role-playing game just to set it up. You could talk about the different kinds, again, the different kinds of tanks that are available. I use those again for the different games. Again, you could have again additional types of tanks. So again, a lot of the stuff, again, that's not included with the purchase of the package, but I'm just showing that these are just some of the things that I use for characters. For again, my soldiers that I'll use figures, for military units that I'll use that are painted up, that I'll use to show off kind of like, you know, how the tanks are. So in other words, if I have a tank here that's in a firefight, I want to show you the location where my guy is located in terms of the tank, things like that. Again, you have combat between the guy and a Jeep that's coming this way. Again, for this role-playing game, more than any other ones, it's no more theater of just the mind. You really need to set up a board, and you really need to show, because again, it becomes a little bit more complex when you talk about line of fire and things of that nature, which is very critical to this entire system here. Again, it goes based on a day-to-day schedule, so you have 10 days, 12 days, whatever's in your adventure. And again, with that here, when you're going through it, you're going from hexes on a grid on a map, which are going to tell you how much, so what your events that you're going to take care of during the day, at lunch, at nighttime, and of course the amount of gear that you need for reloading. When you run out of ammunition, you got to go in and try to find some, use hand-to-hand combat instead. So it's a lot different than your normal role-playing game that goes on here. And of course, again, the things that can outbreaks that can happen at nighttime, during the day, and of course at nighttime as well. So you have daybreak, night, and daybreak, afternoon time, and you have nighttime as well. So all different kinds of things can happen, and weather plays a huge role in your speed of moving around. Again, medical supplies, fuel, spare parts, food and drink, field gear. You know, if you have a car, not all cars are going to be working, so you got to find stuff to fix the car so you can move around. Again, home base, creating bases and things of that nature is all part of this as well. Again, then traveling on the grid maps explains to you how to use the types of maps that they have here. The Nordic Light, the weather, how weather affects your players, marching, driving, how far you can go on a daily basis, and you're walking. I think it's 1 grid square per day. Sleeping, scrounging for different materials, and again, a whole bunch of charts and stuff, how to hunt for food, fishing for food. So again, you're really immersing yourself in a lot of things: cooking, resting, sleeping, water travel, city travel, and exploring. And of course, you have an index, and that's that book. This is, as you say, a huge, huge tome. As you can tell when I drop it, it makes a loud, loud racket. It is a total of 100 of rules. Basically, it's 150 pages of rules. That's just for the player's guide. So that's a lot of information to digest. Then on top of that, we've also got our, push that, knocking stuff over on the side here. Again, the tanks, the Jeep, and the figure are not included. They're for demonstration purposes only. But then rolling on, we've got the referee's manual, role-playing in the World War III that never was. Again, they're beautifully done. The artwork, again, thanks to the backers that started with Kickstarter. Again, this was a labor of love, basically. That's what Free League kind of explained, that this is a game that people who were really into it really, really loved it. And other people like who played Dungeons & Dragons took a step into this world and were like, this is way too complex. It's too much military terms. It's just too much over the top. And people just walked away from it. So that's why I think there's been 5 or 6 different versions of the Twilight 2000 over the years. Again, I played the original one back in 84, 85, 86, back when I was 14, 15, 16, when we were very much into military and stuff like that. Again, we were kids that grew up playing with little plastic soldiers and stuff like that. So this was a natural progression for that. My brother was actually accepted to West Point, which was another thing, which is, he didn't go, but that was something else we'll just mention to it. So, and my father was was a medic in World War II. So playing games that had to deal with military tactics and stuff was very commonplace at my household. So when the new edition came out, that's why we're doing the unboxing now, because again, I want to definitely get into this. Again, so again, we have more stuff that we have to go into. Now, again, the player's manual is for the players. This is for the person who is going to be the general or the game master or the referee manual, as they call him, the referee in this, which is the GM, the game master. World at War, your job as a referee, encounters, factions and forces, and scenario sites. So again, a bunch of rules. The World at War, again, the Road to War. Again, this is fluff that tells you how and what happened between then and now. Again, you're walking through Poland, so that's something that you need to know. The order of battle that's going on in Poland, northern, southern, all different locations. Sweden is also involved as well. More fluff and information about that as well. Other countries that are included are Germany, France, United Kingdom, and America. And of course, the rest of the world. So you can basically pick a faction from anywhere around the world. Again, the 3 that they mentioned were Finland, Russia, and Poland, but again, you can go from wherever you choose to have your crack team from it. It's really up to you how you want to do that. Your job as a referee, again, principles of the game is nowhere is safe, resources are scarce, players lead the way, rumors around, everything is personal, everything, the end is never set, death is a part of life. And then it says hope never dies. So again, we move over to here, talking about different stuff here. Starring a game, you're starting out at the Battle of Calais. I think I'm pronouncing that correct, but I'm not sure. Moving out, planting rumors, starting sessions, using the information. Again, non-player characters, NPCs in combat. So it's a lot of things. Encounters, you're going to have counters on a regular basis. Spotting on and off the road, during the day, during nighttime. Stationary, typical non-player characters. So you got a chart here, which you can roll them up, which makes it easier for you too. List of encounters that they have here, different encounter categories, motivations. Again, you have different cards, which we'll show you the card deck in a little bit, and it goes into the different cards that you're going to run through to help you kind of be the referee in the game. Again, all these cards give you background information about them. Radio chatter, rumors, mood elements, things that you can hear on the radio, factions and forces. Again, when you're in Poland, the different kinds. You have Russian reserves, you have different defense forces, you have all different things. You have Sweden, talks about their military, their general information about that, special forces, CIA, the Guru, KGB. Then scenario sites, places you can go. You can go to the prison. So they give you some scenarios that you can play here. The prison. Gives you a nice map of that. All that kind of stuff here. Then you have Ameritown, which you can go through, which they give you a map of that as well, which I'll show you the map that they also include here. The Children's Crusade. So again, these are different modules that you can go through and referee through as a starting point for your campaign. The Burnt Town. Doesn't sound good. Different locations throughout the town. Obviously, it's a town that's been totally devastated by war. And then you have the scenario site generator, how you create your own scenario and do your own events, and all the charts that you would need. And of course, they have a solo component for this as well. So if I want to role play this game solo, it's going to change the rules just a little bit. And then your conversion rules for non-player characters if they want to join your team and different things of that nature. And again, the weapons and all that stuff like that. and some notes from the designer. So again, it's another 110 pages of information to sift through as a player. So you've got your player's manual, you've got your referee's manual. You also have some dossiers, some secret dossiers, which are included here, which I'm not going to read for you, but different situations. So you have one of those. You have two of those that are also included, which talks about situation, what's happening in the area, your missions, your execution, your service support, your command and signal, who your friendly forces are in the back here. And it talks about your situation, your intelligence, operations, logistics, communication, personnel, and course of action. So this is basically getting you fluff to get you involved in your first adventure. So you have that here as well. You've got your pre-generated characters, and you actually have some, which is great that you have your character sheets where you can create your own characters. Which is cool. So let's take a look at this real quick. So we've got here again, you got your name, you got your nationality, you got your branch of government, you have your military rank, your buddy, how you met the group, your appearance, your moral code, your big dream, your experience, your current and total, your attributes and skills, your strength, heavy weapons, close combat, stamina, agility, driving, mobility, ranged combat, your intelligence, your recon, your survival, your tech, your empathy, your command, your persuasion, and your medical aid. Down here are your combat abilities, your hit capacity, your stress capacity, your coolness under fire, and your unit morale, critical injuries, any diseases, your stress that you take, what type of armor you have on, covering your head, your arms, your torso, your legs, your conditions, you're starving, you're dehydrated, you're sleep deprived, hypothermic, radiation, is it temporary or is it permanent? Then slots for gear. You got a backpack where you put gear in, and then your weapons that you're going to use. And nothing's on the back, so it's one sheet of information. You get a bunch of those that you also get for character sheets that you create your own character. You also have your token counters. Now, again, you're talking about maps that are grid maps, and they're small because they're covering over a large period of terrain. So when you pop one of these out, it fits clearly right in there. So if I'm using a figure is going to be kind of large in comparison to, so you can see according to the map. So that's why I'm saying to you, using these counters, it's kind of like an old SPI game where you move these counters from place to place to place, or a lock and load. A company right now makes a lot of games like this as well. So that's why I say it's more like a military tactics game than it is an actual RPG, but it has a lot of elements of role playing, different characters as well. But as you can tell, that's what these, so your markers are very, very small. I'd say they're like 15 millimeters, but it gives you different types of soldiers and units that you can use. Again, rather in case you don't have figures, you want to use these instead. Of course, you can do that as well. Different tanks that you can use. Different icons, which will be explained to you in the core rulebook. Again, chemicals, fire, smoke, all that kind of stuff that you're going to have for targeting purposes. In the back again. Now, again, the key thing about this is that are you standing up during battle, or are you going prone? As you can see, sorry, just dropped the token out of there. It's ready to get on the table and start playing. So hold on, let's put that back in there like so. And boom. Okay, so you see your characters are prone. It's different ways you want to show them. And your different vehicles. Also, you have some damaged wrecked vehicles on the back. So you have regular vehicles and your damaged wrecked, and then you have your tokens, which are, say, mines. And the other side's a little different. The other side, it said chemicals. So mines and chemicals. So it depends on what you're needing. So again, in this, you receive a token board as well. You also get a bunch of maps. So let's start with the small ones. So does this have a title? It does not, but you have a forest, olives here, and a road, which is very, very cool. Again, it's a hex grid, and it takes a certain amount of time to move from hex to hex to hex to hex. So it's not like, like in if you play Pathfinder, Starfinder, this is 1 square equals 5 feet. In this game, it is not like that. These are actual miles that you're actually walking from place to place. So as you can tell, that's map number 1. Again, talk about coming off the ocean or coming off a sea, something of that nature. And the different types of terrain, which you have rough, you have difficult terrain, impassable terrain, and all it does uses cover and stuff of that nature. So as you can tell, that's one of your maps. Again, another map which which is included. Long roadway. Another map. Now, again, these are not like piezo maps or loc maps. These are not dry erase maps. Wet dry erase map, these are not. So if you want to do that, you can always go to Staples or something like that and laminate them, and you could still do that. But in this case here, you cannot, do not write on these. These are not meant to be. There's another map. And then you have an additional map here, which is very cool. Again, you bombed out buildings, which is obviously getting you ready for the actual battle. The landscape for the actual battle. So it captures that flavor very, very well. And again, in something like this, normally when you see a map like this, I might keep the map to the side and then put my terrain down and match the buildings where they are. This way we can do an actual event using the character that you created. So again, this is very much so like a war game. A miniatures game. Again, it's a miniatures agnostic game. You can use whatever figures you want. If you want to use army soldiers, if you want to use figures that you paint up, if you want to use chits, if you want to use standees, it's totally up to you 125% with that. Again, it makes it a little bit easier when you use figures because then you can actually see where they're lined up and things of that nature. So there you go. Again, destroyed buildings. Lots of vegetation, lots of stuff going on there, open areas, okay? So as you could tell, you get a tremendous amount of maps that are included in this introductory box set. Again, another map we got there. Here we have another map. So these are pretty much your battle maps, basically where your actual fights would take place are maps like this. Where you have wide open terrain where there could be a tank battle, where there could be in here where you could have troop movement. Obviously the tanks can't go through the wooded areas, it would be impassable terrain. If you're standing back here, obviously you're behind a rock, you're gonna have whatchamacallit, you're gonna have line of sight might be off, you're gonna have cover fire, you can have all that stuff like that, protection from those different things. Where in games like Aliens, the role-playing game, or Blade Runner, it's just a different type of playing. Those are different, or Dungeons and Dragons, those are different type of system that we're playing here. So again, that's another map we have here. Hex gradient movement. Again, we have more. So now we have some larger maps that are also included, which are part of the specific scenarios which are given in which were included in the Game Masters or the referees book. So that's that map there. Then we also have this map here. Again, so you can see. So in other words, if I was going to use this Jeep, obviously it's not the right size of the Jeep. If I wanted to use this figure, you can't do that. But if I want to set this up, I can set up the whole table and make it look like this. This way, you can do it. You can do it that way. Or if you don't have like terrain like this and you have stuff to set up, you could always use the chits that they gave you here with it. So that's another map that you get here. We have an additional map right here. This is that burned out city that they were talking about. Can we look at the map up close a little bit more? They're really well done. I mean, this is a really, there's a lot of thought put into this. Again, really, really cool. Very, very cool maps that they include here. Really capture the flavor that they're going for in Twilight 2000. Again, looks like this is a prison that they had mentioned, with the barricade going all the way around it. So I'm assuming that this is the prison because it has barbed wire fence going all the way around it. Not sure, but I'm going to assume that that's what it is. There's a full map that side, and there's a full map of that side. You also get, now I'm going to push all this stuff to the side for a minute, just so I can open this one up, because it's a very, very large map That's also included. So I'm just going to push this stuff to the side for a minute. Just got to clear off the table just a little bit so that we have enough room to show you everything we got here. Make sure I don't step on that. That will hurt my foot if I step on that. Oh, before I do that, I'm just going to show you real quick. We have some game-specific dice. Let's show you the dice real quick. So you have your D6s, which are actually brown in color, but they come off yellow for some reason here. But they have the different ones. You have the explosions on them. You have the bullet on there. So that's 1, 2, 3. So you have 1, 2, 3. 1, I guess 1 is the bullet, and it also has another little icon that's a 6. So it tells you that's number 6 there. It's a bullet. Explosion is the 1. So there you go. It makes it even easier. I like that. In fact, you get 6 of those. You get 2 of the military green, which are really cool dice. Again, and the camera, it's popping, so it's making it look a little different color than what it is. But these are basically camo, which is really cool. Again, the 1. Now this one has a sight on it. That one has an explosion. This one has a sight on it as well. So the sight is the 6 and the explosion is the 1. So you get 2 of those. These are D12s. So again, all these icons which are on here, they all have to read through the core rule book to understand what they mean. I'll say it's targeting, explosions. This might be for tanks and stuff like that. I'm assuming that's what these are for here. So you got D6s, you got D12s, you have D8s, which are here as well. That's a D10. So here's your D8s. So 6, 7, 8 have targets on them. 1 has an explosion on them, and then regular numbers. So those are your D8. So you have a combination of D6s, D12s, D8s. Then you have this one here. It looks like it's where on your body did your character get shot. That's cool. Really like that. Really, really like that. So it tells you where. So this character who got wounded got shot in the chest. That's really cool. I'm loving that die right there. And then you have your percentile dice and which are your D10s. So then if you're gonna roll, you could say your left side is your. So if you need it, it's gonna be a 42. That would be a percentile. But again, all these icons on here, the targets and stuff like that, it'll tell you in the game manual book what the dice are used for and how you're going to use them. So again, you get all these dice that are included in the game, which are really cool. So you get a combination of D6s, D10s, and D8s, which is really, really cool. But this one I really love the fact that it got the hit marker here. It tells you where in the body you get hit. That's an awesome dice. That's cool. More games should come with stuff like that. That's awesome. And again, the silica gel, don't eat it because you're not supposed to. Now, there's a huge map that's included here as well. I'm pulling the box. I'm actually making room here. So this is an actual folding map, so it comes out nicely. But this thing is a huge map. So it gives you a map of the entire area. So one side is going to be basically the map of Poland. And I believe the other side is Russia. I believe, yep, Krakow. So there you go, Krakow. So again, on this map here, just like a regular map that you have, if you're traveling on a thing, going from one grid to another grid, obviously it's not one grid. It's not 5 feet. It's obviously you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of miles on this map here. Okay. So again, this is one huge, ginormous map, which I'm not going to go over into complete detail. But you see, it's just like a regular map that you would have, that you would get if you want to buy a map of Poland. There it is. And then on this side here, we have it's either Finland or Russia. I'm not quite sure. Göteborg. I'm going to say this is Finland. Yeah, that's the Finnish map. So if you want to play on that side, yeah, Oslo. All right, Finland. So yeah, so it's a Finnish map. So blue is where the water is. Again, you have the map legend that's on it too. Road, open, woods, hills, mountains, lakes, rivers, swamp, and ruins. So that's everything that your map. So this map again is a huge, huge map that we got here. So that's a map as well. So you got that map, you got your silica gel, you got your dice, you got your catalog, you got even more maps. your token sheets. Again, you have your rules reference, player's map reference. You have your starter sheets, which gives you the fluff about secret missions you have to go on. You have your character sheets, and of course you have your dice again, which I showed you here. But last but not least, we also have a deck of cards, which is included, which is your initiative cards and your get a blade to open this up real quick so we don't lose anything. And of course, as you guys know, I usually pre-cut it before I show videos, but for some reason I forgot to do this one. But there it is. So you have cards which are for encounters. Which is a tremendous amount. I believe it's a deck of 52 cards, so it's a lot of encounters that you're going to have. Again, you flip a card during your nighttime and during your daytime. And then you have your initiative cards. Again, the initiative cards, you're just going to shuffle them. Their numbers 1 through 10. I believe it's 1 through 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So you would shuffle these up. You just basically shuffle those cards up. And you flip the card, and you give everybody a card, and you flip it over. He's number 8. Character number 4. Also, character number 4 goes first. Character number 8 goes second. Or you can do highest to lowest, depending on how you want to do it, how you want to set up. Again, you have the numbers 1 through 10 of initiative cards. And your encounter cards. Again, it's a full deck of cards, and all your cards are set up the same way. Which on the top, it'll give you your suit and the number, what it is, a bunch of icons explaining to you where it is. So you got a forest fire. Again, down here it'll tell you hunting possible without spending a shift. The fire has intensity C and is 20 hexes deep. Survival roll needed to find a way past it. Even if successful, no further travel this shift. If the roll fails, the path forward is blocked for the next shift as well. So you got forest, pack of wolves, booby trap vehicles, ground zero, full tank, hungry and angry, my kill, my meat, marauder, roadblock. So you're fighting a roadblock. You got murderous bastards, shoot on sight, superior firepower, outnumbered, and for my country. So again, those are all your clubs. Again, ranging from anything from my country. Again, you got people fighting here. It says, all right, it says here, faction, civilian faction. It says number PC, player characters ×2. So if I got 4 guys playing, 4 times 2, there's going to be 8 guards in the daytime. PC ×1 guards in darkness, 2d6 ×5 inhabitants overall tells you how. Then it's going to tell you here, up here, the icons are explained to you in the core rulebook. Village of 2d6 houses surrounded by barbed wire and sandbags. Guards have AKMs with 2 reloads and a frag grenade each, and 1 RPG-16, 2 reloads, and an 82 millimeter mortar, 4 HE rounds. Villagers are very suspicious of foreign soldiers, but may be reasoned or even traded with. So it tells you if you're walking on a town, this is a town that you come across, either you're going to want to go in or you're not. So again, numbers 2 through ace, so it's full. Again, it's a full deck of cards. So again, that's your clubs, you have your diamonds, dense fog, rabid dogs, viper's nest, final rest, house on fire, desperate times, hunters and their prey, everything has a price, what you got, cash is king, drop your weapons, locked in loaded like a freight train, buying and selling, that's your diamonds, going again from deuce to an ace. Then you got your hearts, sunshine, human's best friend, smell victory. Oh, you could take on a dog. Smell victory, the watering hole, final rest, the orphans, good company, join us or die, the ambush, the carnage, death from above, prisoner blues, the magnificent few, rain of ash, bear's den, battlefield, Armageddon, watch your step, the old wanderer, a pound of flesh, death from below, that's an order, hammer of God, the kill zone, prisoners of war, and the mad king. Again, so how are these cards used? So how do the encounters work? Very simply, you take these cards. They're really nice feeling cards too. You shuffle the deck real quick, take that encounter card, throw that in the middle somewhere. Okay. Again, shuffle them up one more time. Really, really nice feeling cards. Really, really nice deck of cards. So again, your encounter for the AM, pull it. Again, you'd have desperate times. Let's just read that one real quick. Again, it's a 7 of diamonds. Again, the icons are explained in the core rulebook. Number, player characters times 4. So it's off-road, PC times 2, off-road. Or if it's on-road, that's what you come up. So civilians, you come across civilians. A group of refugees starving and hypothermic and desperate. They plead with the PCs for food and protection. Several suffer from dysentery and the PCs risk being infected. So do you help them? Do you not help them? You make a choice what you're going to do during desperate times. So that's your encounter for during the day. So as you continue to travel along, you set up camp. What happens at nighttime for your first day? Boom, pull this card here. It's an encounter, nighttime. Armageddon, it tells you what time of day it is. It's nighttime. There it is, the crater. A huge crater from a nuclear strike. 6d6 times 10 meters wide and 1/5 as deep, with a lake of greenish water at the bottom. An area twice as wide as a crater is radioactive, 1 rad stretch. Dozens of armored vehicles here are destroyed beyond repair, but D6 can be scavenged for parts. To pass, a vehicle needs to go off-road and lose 1 hex of movement this shift. So do you go and investigate? Do you need to find some scavenge some parts? Do you need to do that? So that could be daytime or nighttime, depending on which one you're going to do it. Either you're on the road or you're off the road. So all those, the iconograph, all those icons are explained to you in the referee's manual and the player's manual. So that's how these cards are used. That's your encounter card. So what do we have again? We have a tremendous amount of maps. We have our initiative cards. We have our encounters. We have our tokens over here. We got a games catalog. We got the dice for the game. Silica gel, don't eat it. We have your player sheets. You have your secret messages that start off the campaign that you're playing. 2 of those. Referee's manual is the player's manual is what the players use. Referee's manual is the GM. So as always, this is everything that's included, and this concludes our unboxing of Free League's rendition of Twilight 2000. Role-playing in the World War III that never was. Again, this game is brought to you by Free League. For more information, go to freeleaguepublishing.com. This was released in 2021. It's for 2 to 6 players, ages 16 plus, and takes about 2 hours. Actually, it takes a lot longer, but they say it's 2 hours per session. As always, thank you so much for joining me for this unboxing video. It's truly appreciated. If you enjoyed the video, you could always give us a thumbs up, leave a comment below. You could also hit that subscribe button. This way you're kept up to date as to any time we release new content to the page. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Be safe, be well, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch you on the next unboxing video.